Hello, and welcome to Almost Failure to Launch, a 4-part mini-series detailing some of the challenges I face as a prospective podcaster with no time and very little money. Now, when I first started possibly considering the idea of potentially starting a podcast, the idea of why would anyone want to listen to me was top of mind. I mean, think about it. I'm not a famous person, nor am I a known thought leader in technology, business, politics, or any other specific interest group. Hell, I'm still in my 20s, so it's not like I have decades of experience in industry to offer. So seriously, why would anyone listen to me? For me, this is a question that I had asked myself a few times before, when I first got into the world of public speaking and teaching public speaking. In both cases, the answer can really be boiled down to one major point. Everyone always wants more. We live in a world where information is like water. It's everywhere. Almost anyone can get it, but in certain places it's not very good for you. Wow. I am so sorry. That was actually a little dark. At any rate, information is so accessible nowadays globally that the speed at which people can consume content could make the Kessel Run faster than the Millennium Falcon. For the non-nerds out there, that's pretty damn fast as fake sci-fi units of measurement go. See, I can make wholesome jokes too. This represents a huge opportunity for any prospective content creators out there. Why? Because it means that you can virtually guarantee that in some of the 3+ billion people around the world with access to the internet, you'll find an audience. For example, Toronto Story Archive, even as a Toronto-focused podcast, generates viewership from the UK, Colombia, Egypt, and Ireland, amongst others. We have some viewers in South Africa, but I'm at least 70% sure they're all related to me, so I don't know that applies to this example. But my point is an audience exists. You just need to find it. Now, that said, just because an audience exists doesn't mean it's a big audience. In fact, it may not even be the audience that you want. This frames the why would anyone listen to me question in a very different light. It's no longer a question of why would anyone listen to me as a person, and more a question of what sort of value am I delivering that would make the audience I want to target listen to me. Now, before you refute this idea with something like, I just want to create. The people who are fans of my work, those are the people I want to reach. No, they aren't. At least, not always. Anyone and everyone who goes into creating something has some sort of an idea of the people they want to connect with, especially in today's world of everyone as a brand. I choose to take that the prospective podcaster has an audience they want as read, and move on to the more pressing question of how are you going to reach them? This is where a little research goes a long way. Depending on your idea, you need to do some searching on systems like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Podbean, anywhere and everywhere that you want to live. Even your everyday Google searches can help you determine whether A, someone is doing your exact idea. Look, let's be honest, there are a lot of people out there. The odds that you came up with something that is so wildly unique that no one else has ever done anything even sort of similar before, especially in the content creation space, is, let's say, slim. B, if someone is doing something similar, which they probably are, do you think you can either A, do it better, or B, do it in a way that is substantially different, a way that will connect with people on a different level? See, like everything in life, podcasting is a competition. It's a competition for people's time and attention. And there's a limited amount of time in the day, but a near infinite amount of content that one could possibly consume given that time. The cool thing about podcasts is that they allow for the passive intake of information, meaning people can listen to you while they do other things, but that still means that you need to be engaging enough to overcome the other opportunities for engagement out there. For myself, going into podcasting, I had a few boxes to tick off. One, I wanted a podcast that was Toronto focused. I love this city, it's given me a lot, and I wanted to do something to add back to its culture. 2, I wanted an interview show, because interview shows are cool. 3, I wanted whatever I did to kind of sound like radio, because radio is awesome. Now, Toronto's metropolitan stock has risen significantly around the world. More and more we're seen as the world-class city we are, and with that has grown new media focused on Toronto. So I gave a few Toronto podcasts that seemed similar in some way to the Toronto Story Archive concept a listen, and then determined what I could do differently. In my case, that meant my focus became an interview show that showcased not just the same 10 professionals who get interviewed on every show, but everyone and anyone with a cool and unique perspective, no matter what their social profile happened to be or how many followers they had on Instagram. My litmus test for the people who feature on Toronto Story Archive is a simple conversation in advance to understand who they are. But realizing that focus never would have existed without going through the process of understanding what else was out there to begin with. Again, everyone always wants more, but what they get has to deliver value to them on some level. Like every other aspect of business, loyalty is everything. You don't want a one-time listener who tunes in and then moves on. I mean, well, yes, you want those too, but primarily, you want to build up fans over time. That means taking that question, why would anyone listen to me, as a challenge to deliver value so that people want more. Their time is a privilege that we have to earn, not our right as content creators. The one caveat I'll add is that podcasting, from what I've read and experienced, is a slow burn. Kinda like trying to build a following on Twitter in 2017 without being a famous person. Don't be discouraged by lower numbers with your launch. In fact, odds are your numbers will probably be better than you expect. At least, they were for me. In my experience, we tend to be a self-deprecating people. We underestimate our ability to engage and deliver valuable content. Part of that, especially for people around my age group, is due to a belief that because we're young, we simply don't know enough to create that influential content. I was at lunch with one of my former guests on Toronto Story Archive, and he talked to me about how, when he was younger, he changed an entire business model based on the simple statement, "You're so young and you have a lot to learn." No matter who you are, your age, your experience, the odds are that you probably know something or have some experiences that others do not or could benefit from. Discover what that is, turn it into value, and you've answered the question, why would anyone listen to me? And that's a wrap for part 1 of Toronto Story Archive's Almost Failure to Launch miniseries. Remember, if at any point you have questions, concerns, or comments, please feel free to email me at submissions@torontostoryarchive.com. My name is Waja, and thank you. Thank you for tuning in to Toronto Story Archive's Almost Failure to Launch miniseries. Look out next week for part 2, answering the question, who would want to be on my podcast?